It started with a 6-minute clip uploaded to a forgotten YouTube channel. A man's breathing filled the first 30 seconds. Heavy, uneven, panicked. The camera jolted, showing flashes of trees, a trembling flashlight, and something moving just beyond the beam. Then, a whisper. "It's watching me." The voice belonged to Mark Dalton, a 38-year-old ranger known for laughing in the face of danger. Now, his voice cracked with fear. Within hours, the video hit 1 million views. Comment sections flooded with theories. Bear attack, prank, cryptid hoax. But when the local sheriff confirmed Mark was missing, the tone changed. The footage ended with his GoPro falling into the dirt, still recording as something long-fingered reached into frame. What kind of creature stalks the hunter instead of running from him? And why was the footage time-stamped 2 days after Mark disappeared? Before the footage, before the panic, there was just Mark, a ranger who loved the wilderness more than people. "Nature tells the truth," he used to say. "You just need to listen." He'd worked those mountains for 15 years, cataloging wildlife, tracking migrations. When Samira told him about strange readings near the ridge, he jumped at the chance to explore. He wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing proof. But proof of what? That night, he packed his GoPro, his rifle, and a smile that masked exhaustion. In the forest, the air changes when you cross a certain line. He didn't know it then. But the forest was already awake, and it was listening too. Samira Reyes and Cole Hart arrived 2 hours later. She handled logistics, he handled cameras. Mark handled everything else. Their banter felt easy, routine. The calm before the storm. They joked about cryptid hunters online, unaware they'd soon become one. As Mark adjusted the GoPro chest strap, Cole filmed him, laughing. "Smile, man. Internet loves a rugged ranger." Mark grinned, but his eyes betrayed something heavier. The look of a man who'd seen too much wilderness to believe it's empty. The forest swallowed sound. The further they went, the quieter it got, until even footsteps seemed hesitant. "It's like the trees are watching," Cole whispered. Mark brushed it off, but even Samira paused to listen. Birds had stopped singing. The air was still, unnaturally still. When Mark reviewed the footage later, he'd notice faint static each time he looked left, as if something unseen shifted with him. They found it near the creek, a half-buried camera lens, cracked and covered in dried mud. Samira knelt, brushing it off. "Model's 5 years old," she murmured. "But look at the glass. It's melted." Cole filmed, whispering. "Who leaves melted glass in the middle of nowhere?" Mark didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the trees. Something had moved. Slow, deliberate. Just beyond the clearing. Later, when investigators reviewed the GoPro footage, this was the last frame before distortion began. By the second day, the forest began to feel alive. Not in the poetic sense. Alive in the way something aware studies you. The trees leaned closer, the air thicker with unseen weight. Mark led the group silently, his GoPro chest strap recording each rustle. Samira kept scanning the canopy, noting the absence of birds. Cole whispered, "Even the air feels wrong." That night's playback caught something they hadn't noticed in real time. Faint breathing, layered under their voices. Not echo, not wind. Breathing, slow and human, matching their steps. They made camp near a stream, setting up tents as dusk crept in. The forest grew quiet, too quiet. Then came the whisper. It was faint at first, like wind brushing through pine needles. But it wasn't wind. It formed words, a voice too close, repeating Cole's name. "Cole! Cole!" He froze. Samira turned pale. Mark lifted his flashlight, but nothing moved. Later, when reviewing the audio, the whisper had grown louder, and this time it called Mark's name too. The next morning, Mark found claw marks etched into a hollow tree. They weren't animal, too long, too deliberate. He filmed them, whispering measurements under his breath. 4 fingers. Human length, Samira muttered. No animal writes in patterns. Cole zoomed in. His lens caught faint symbols between the grooves. Spirals burned into bark. A low hum filled their microphones. A frequency none of them could hear, but the camera could. That's when Mark noticed his own reflection in the lens blink. A half-second before he did. That night, no one slept. Mark stayed awake by the fire, reviewing footage frame by frame. Between static, a face flickered. Elongated, pale, watching from the trees. He thought it was a trick of light until Samira whispered, "Mark, it's closer now." Cole swore he heard laughter outside, his own voice echoing it back from the dark. Mark aimed his camera at the tree line. The lens caught a brief shape between trunks, thin limbs bending in ways no person could. They didn't know it yet, but the forest was mimicking them. The following morning, they decided to pack up early. But as they dismantled camp, a sound rolled through the trees, Mark's own voice calling from deeper in the forest. "Samira! Cole! Over here!" He froze mid-step. The others turned pale. The voice called again, exactly his tone, same rhythm, same breath. Cole whispered, "That's not you, is it?" Mark didn't answer. He just looked at the tree line, where fog pulsed like breath. Then, from the same direction, came another voice. This time it was Samira's, screaming. A week after Mark's video went viral, the internet turned it into an obsession. Reddit threads lit up with people scrubbing every frame, searching for clues. A popular channel called Deep Frame Investigations uploaded a breakdown, pausing at the 6-minute mark. There, hidden between 2 motion-blurred frames, was a face no one had noticed before. Pale, 2 symmetrical, staring directly into the camera. But when viewers tried to pause on it, the timestamp glitched, skipping backward 2 seconds. "It's like the video doesn't want to be seen," the host whispered. Millions agreed. Whatever was caught on camera wasn't just in the forest. It was inside the footage itself. At the digital forensics lab, Samira Reyes watched as technicians analyzed the GoPro files she had turned over. The lead analyst frowned. The GPS data claimed the last clip was recorded 48 hours after Mark's tracker stopped transmitting. The timestamps had rewritten themselves in repeating patterns: 013, 013, 013. Each duplicate file contained the same frames, but slightly different lighting, as though time inside the video kept looping. "That's impossible," Samira murmured. The technician looked pale. "Then, how is it changing by itself?" Cole couldn't stay away. Late one night, he uploaded the footage into an AI video enhancer, hoping for answers. The algorithm reconstructed missing frames, filling gaps with predictive imagery. But halfway through rendering, the software generated a clear human face, one that didn't match Mark, Samira, or anyone known. It looked directly at the camera, eyes open, mouth slightly parted as if mid-breath. Cole froze, then clicked delete. But the progress bar kept moving. The computer had taken control. The AI whispered from the speakers, repeating one word: "Remember." 2 weeks later, Mark's abandoned YouTube channel began uploading new thumbnails on its own. Each image showed the same forest trail from slightly different angles, places no one remembered filming. The file names were random strings of numbers, but together they formed coordinates. When mapped, they traced a perfect circle around the ridge where Mark vanished. "It's like it's marking territory," Samira whispered. Commenters argued it was a hoax or viral marketing, but the uploads kept coming, always at midnight, always on the same day of the lunar cycle. During a live broadcast discussing the case, the host's feed cut to static. Then Mark's channel went live. Thousands watched as the screen filled with mist, forest sounds, and heavy breathing. The chat exploded. "Is this real?" For a few seconds, a figure appeared in the fog. A shape that looked human, but blurred, like corrupted pixels. Then coordinates appeared across the screen, glowing faintly before fading out. Samira recognized them instantly. They pointed to the same ridge, the one she and Mark had mapped months before. The live stream ended abruptly, leaving a single comment pinned by the channel. "I'm still out here." Samira sat at her cabin desk, headphones on, replaying the corrupted GoPro files. A new sound emerged, rhythmic interference, like Morse code, hidden beneath static. She cross-checked the pattern and froze. The code wasn't random. It spelled her name. Sam. Cole joined the call, skeptical until he heard it himself. "That can't be coincidence," he whispered. The more they played it, the louder it became, as if responding to their attention. When Samira unplugged the headset, the rhythm kept echoing faintly from her speakers, without power. Minutes later, every device in Samira's cabin flickered. Lights dimmed, phone battery drained, hard drives spun up on their own. She yanked the power cord, yet the GoPro charger light remained on, bright green. Cole watched remotely as her feed glitched, lines of static crawling up the image. "You're losing signal," he said. "No," she answered, staring at the flickering camera light. "The signal's getting stronger." Then her screen went black, replaced by live coordinates pulsing in the corner. Cole drove through the night to reach her. The storm made the roads nearly invisible, rain hammering the windshield. By dawn, the power outage had spread across 3 counties. When he arrived, Samira's cabin was quiet except for the hum of a generator. She opened the door, exhausted but calm. "It's happening everywhere," she said, showing him her phone. Social feeds filled with users hearing the same beeping code embedded in unrelated videos. It's not just Mark's footage anymore. Inside, they mapped the audio signals. Each burst of static translated into numbers: latitude, longitude, time. When plotted, the coordinates formed a spiral around the original ridge site. Cole stared at the screen. "Someone's broadcasting through corrupted data," Samira replied softly. "Or something wants to be remembered." The realization wasn't supernatural. It was technological. Something, or someone, had found a way to use the digital world to leave traces of themselves behind. That night, the pattern completed. Every coordinate pulsed red on the map, then merged into one location. Samira checked the timestamp. Midnight, matching the next lunar cycle. The sound returned through the speakers, now forming words. "Found it." Cole started recording, documenting everything. Then the radio tower on the hill flickered to life for the first time in years, transmitting a silent signal across empty frequencies. Samira looked out the window at the glowing tower. "Whatever this is," she said, "it's not finished speaking." Within hours of the tower broadcast, Samira's inbox overflowed with emails from research institutes and private contractors. A government science agency requested her data, promising containment and clarity. Cole warned her not to hand it over yet. The signal still pulsed every hour, shifting by fractions of a degree. "They'll bury it," he said. Samira hesitated, torn between credibility and curiosity. In the background, the radio emitted short bursts like sonar pings. She hit record and muttered, "If they want the truth, they can watch it happen live." By morning, someone leaked their recordings. News outlets ran headlines about the self-replicating signal. Satellite images trended worldwide. Samira watched reporters misinterpret everything, calling it an alien beacon, an encryption test, even a hoax. The truth was smaller but stranger, an environmental pattern echoing human code. "Once data's public," Cole sighed, "no one owns it." For the first time, Samira realized the investigation was no longer hers. The mystery now belonged to everyone with Wi-Fi. At the University Data Center, experts compared the signal to known frequencies. It mirrored whale communication, seismographic tremors, and, oddly, human heart rhythms. "It's mimicking life," a researcher murmured. Samira leaned closer to the monitor, mesmerized by the pattern's pulse aligning with her own heartbeat on her smartwatch. She smiled faintly. Maybe it's not calling us. Maybe it's copying us. Cole recorded her explanation, the camera steady this time. Science replacing fear. Plotting the newest data revealed a mathematical spiral converging toward a single date and coordinate. It's decaying, Samira said, tracing the curve. The signal wasn't growing. It was burning out. Cole exhaled in relief, but when they overlaid timestamps, the final pulse aligned with the anniversary of Mark's disappearance. The coincidence hit her quietly. Endings leave echoes, she whispered. Cole placed a hand on her shoulder. Then, let's make sure it ends cleanly. At midnight, the signal faded into steady silence. Across the world, live streams stopped, dashboards cleared. Samira and Cole stepped outside, listening to real wind instead of static. For once, the air carried only ordinary night sounds. She uploaded their full research under an open license, captioned, "No ghosts, just data learning to breathe." Within hours, new studies began. Humanity had found something extraordinary, not fear, but connection. Sometimes the unknown doesn't haunt. It teaches. 2 weeks after the silence, a faint echo returned. Not from the ridge, but from orbit. Satellites caught microbursts matching Samira's archived data, low enough to be background noise. She replayed them in the lab, realizing the pattern now contained gaps, shaped like spoken pauses. Cole filmed her reaction as she whispered, "It's adapting to silence." The phenomenon was no longer a mystery of one forest. It had become a planetary language, faint but rhythmic, like the Earth itself exhaling through wires. Research centers across continents began reporting the same rhythmic code in environmental sensors. Ocean buoys, weather stations, even underground fiber lines hummed with identical intervals. "It's universal," said an astrophysicist on a live call. Samira smiled, realizing data had become a mirror, each machine echoing the same heartbeat. Humanity, by listening together, had created harmony out of noise. Cole uploaded a public dashboard, mapping the pulses in real time. Millions watched tiny lights flicker across the world, like synchronized breathing. Analyzing the intervals revealed a repeating equation, one that predicted changes in temperature, tides, and seismic drift with impossible precision. "It's forecasting balance," Samira murmured. The discovery reframed everything. The signal wasn't a warning, but an adaptive feedback loop linking natural systems. Cole documented her explanation for an educational broadcast. "We thought we were hearing ghosts," she said, "but it was just the planet adjusting its own rhythm, and we finally learned to listen." The revelation sparked a cultural wave. Artists composed music from the pulse. Schools added the listening project to curricula. News anchors spoke of connection instead of crisis. Samira avoided interviews, preferring quiet evenings, reading new papers. One night, she received a message from a young coder who'd built an app translating the rhythm into light patterns. "I watch it when I can't sleep. It reminds me the world's alive." She smiled, realizing knowledge had replaced fear with wonder. Months later, the signal faded again. Not into static, but into silence that felt intentional. Instruments showed equilibrium, no anomalies, no interference. Samira archived every file and sent the open database to public domain. In her final interview, she said, "Sometimes discovery isn't about what you find, but what finally stops asking to be found." Cole ended the camera roll there. The world moved on, humming quietly in its own rhythm. Proof that even mysteries can rest once understood. A year after the signal's last pulse, Samira and Cole met at the National Data Archive in Geneva. Servers hummed like distant seas as they uploaded terabytes of open-source files labeled the Pulse Project. "It belongs to everyone now," Samira said quietly. Cole typed the final checksum, watching the progress bar crawl toward completion. Their discovery was no longer secret or trending. It was history, quietly stored in countless drives across the planet, waiting for whoever would listen next. Before leaving, Samira recorded a short note for the archive. "To whoever finds this pattern, remember, It began as fear but ended as understanding. Her voice would be stored alongside the data, a timestamp of humility. Cole added footage of the forest now blooming with new growth. "Nature's already rewritten the story," he said. The upload finished with a soft chime, as if acknowledging them. For the first time, silence felt like gratitude. When the data went public, classrooms, labs, and artists around the world began remixing the signal. A symphony in Tokyo used its rhythm as percussion. A robotics team in Nairobi built sensors that flashed with each residual echo. News outlets framed it as the first global collaboration between nature and code. Samira watched from home, eyes tired but shining. "It's no longer ours," she told Cole on a video call. "It's everyone's translation of wonder." Months later, they revisited the ridge. The forest was quiet, green, ordinary again. Samira placed a small beacon at the site, not transmitting, only recording ambient sounds. "If it ever speaks again," she said, "someone will hear." Cole filmed the moment, his last shot for the documentary, listening to silence. Wind rustled through pines, carrying the same rhythm they once chased across the world. Only now, it sounded like peace. Years passed. The Pulse project became part of textbooks and open databases. One night, a new file appeared in the archive. Unsigned, time-stamped decades into the future. It contained a familiar rhythm, faint but structured, ending with 3 digital words. "We heard you." No panic followed, only quiet fascination. Samira's voiceover in Cole's documentary closed the story. "Every discovery leaves an echo. Sometimes the echo learns our name."